What's up guys, it's Endymion, and today I want to look into how one of gaming's biggest blunders has suddenly become its greatest comeback story, and how it was saved by something outside of its own genre and what the gaming industry could learn from this. I will mostly be using game footage in this video because companies are anal when it comes to using anime scenes on YouTube, just wanted to let you know. Also, there will be no spoilers for anything Cyberpunk related in this video either, so just relax. And before I begin, if you liked the video, consider subscribing and sharing it to give my life meaning, and hit the bell to be notified of future uploads. Now, let's talk about how Edgerunners saved the Cyberpunk franchise and what the industry could learn from it. When Cyberpunk first released, it was a train wreck, which is putting it lightly. The game was so unoptimized at release that CD Projekt Red even refused reviewers from using their own footage in their reviews for the game. Even worse, reviewers weren't even allowed to see or play the last-gen ports of Cyberpunk, which made sense because once the general populace got their hands on it, all hell broke loose. Fast forward about 2 years, and with the next-gen update plus patch 1.6 and beyond, Cyberpunk is in a much better place. But the damage, as they say, was already done. A game's release is always its most important moment, of course. This is where consumers get hyped and buy in for a new experience. So when that hype is met with garbage, well, it goes about as well as you'd expect. But recently, Netflix dropped a new show seemingly out of nowhere about Cyberpunk called Edgerunners. And the release of this anime has been nothing short of an anomaly, as it was not only universally praised, but it revived Cyberpunk 2077 as a game, with the series skyrocketing to the top of Steam's most played lists, with over 1 million people across all gaming devices jumping into Night City every day due to the show's success. That's crazy. So what the hell, why was it an anime that revived the franchise and not the next gen updates or patches? Well my friends, strap in because I'm about to get a little spicy here, so please watch to the end before you make any conclusions about me, thank you. I'm going to tell you straight up why Edgerunners is great and why it brought so many people back. It's because it's nothing like the current landscape when it comes to multimedia and the deluge of crap we're being fed on a weekly basis. Most shows, games, TVs, movies, whatever else you can think of have largely been pretty shit as of the last few years. Companies and creators are more interested in pushing ideologies, diversity checks, and self-inserts than telling good stories. And don't give me that crap about me hating those things, I'm a mixed race person already. Anyway, let's keep the rant going. For example, in Edgerunners, the main character, David Martinez, is a young man who is portrayed as strong, loyal, and fearless. Which, let's be honest, is almost alien in today's world when it comes to the depiction of male characters these days. Almost always it seems that male characters are being torn down or made into bumbling idiots while being replaced by hyper-masculine female characters instead. For some reason, when it comes to media these days, apparently women can only be strong and independent if the men around them are incompetent and idiotic. I'm sure you or I could think of dozens of these sorts of projects. I mean, looking at the Marvel Universe right now, it's full of carbon copies and replacements, with the male characters constantly being downplayed or replaced in their own TV shows. This is why Edgerunners is such a success, because it has a strong female lead in the form of Lucy, but her aptitude for badassery is not there to undermine David, but accompany it. The creators of Edgerunners actually had the balls to make a show in 2022 where no one is treated as less or inconsequential, and that's why the show is so beloved and topical right now. I think the major problem with media these days in general is that creators seem to think that they know better than anyone else when it comes to, well, everything, let's be honest. Be real with yourself. How many times can you think off the top of your head where a game, movie, TV show, hell, even an ad has talked down to you or acted like they know better than you do? Companies also love using annoying terminology to do this. I mean, look at Ubisoft recently, who's in the news because they are remaking Splinter Cell, but the story will be rewritten for a modern audience. Whenever I hear the term modern audience, its industry lingo for this project is going to be shit. Stop doing this. This is why shows like Edgerunners and Arcane are so successful. I mean, you can't even say it's because people are against things like different sexual orientations or anything. I mean, Arcane is full of that stuff and it's great. Those shows are successful and strengthen their franchises because they aren't interested in talking down to their audiences or belittling them. They're just trying to tell a great story with memorable characters. This is why shows like the He-Man reboot called Masters of the Universe pissed off so many people, because it promoted itself as a He-Man show, but he's sidelined and replaced by Teela, which angered many fans. This entire modern audience shtick was also the protection and spear of games like Saints Row, with the developers saying they wanted to make a game for modern audiences, which meant sanitizing everything and making the Saints into boring characters that checked boxes that the developers had. And that game is not doing well, with even the CEO of Embracer being unhappy with the reception to it. Edgerunners, however, not only reinvigorated the Cyberpunk series, but it did so without alienating its target audience. David, whether we want to admit it or not, is an anomaly of a main character in today's world. And Lucy is refreshingly cool and fun without being toxic or annoying like so many others. Look, I know this whole video might sound like to some that I hate identity politics or women in charge, but it couldn't be further from the truth. One of my favorite series of all time is Mass Effect, and in terms of wokeness or whatever, Mass Effect is one of the most progressive series ever, even to this day. But the difference between Mass Effect and every other awful modern piece of media is that Mass Effect doesn't treat anyone differently or make certain groups beneath any other group. Well, besides the Batarians, because they're like the punching bags of the Mass Effect universe. But anyway, men and women are shown to be in power across various positions throughout the series. Hell, even Anderson, who's a black man, is an exceptional character that the fan base loves. Characters like Tali or Garrus are beloved because they're strong and capable, yet they're flawed too. These days, most characters are just amazing at everything and it's boring, and the male characters are usually always idiots, asswipes, or both. So I think the reason why Edgerunners and Arcane specifically have reinvigorated and strengthened their franchises is because they feel like shows from a time where stories mattered more than ideology or identity. I'm actively worried about games like the new Mass Effect being another modern audience game where the men are all evil or assholes, but I guess time will tell. But I think if game publishers, developers, and the companies that run these mega franchises want their IP to flourish like Cyberpunk has, they need to look at Edgerunners and realize the reason why that show is so successful and why it's in turn led to a resurgence for Cyberpunk and CD as a company is because it just tells a good story without any BS or talking down to the audience. If you take anything away from this video, I hope it's that you understand that I'm not saying diversity or women in power is a bad thing. Like I said, I'm a mixed person of race myself, if that matters at all, which it shouldn't, but I just can't stand seeing great franchises rise and fall because the people behind them care more about talking down to their consumers instead of just making a great product. Cyberpunk was saved by Edgerunners because it's a no BS show that takes a franchise and remixes it into a digestible and entertaining experience that strengthens its foundation instead of ruining it like so many others before it. David Martinez is a great character not because he's a man, but because he's incredibly flawed and damaged, but he still moves forward. And I think we need more David Martinez's and less of whatever the hell they've been doing lately with male characters in media these days. Edgerunners is great, and I also think making a side story that doesn't step on the toes of the games themselves is smart too. I kind of hope this is how games to TV shows go in the future. Here's hoping Sony and Bungie do something similar with the Destiny franchise, cause I would love to see an Edgerunners-like take on that game's world and lore as well. And that's why Edgerunners works, because it dared to be something that most shows these days aren't willing to be. And that's being an entertaining celebration of a franchise and not being used as a platform for political or ideological reasons. And that, my friends, is how Edgerunners saved the Cyberpunk franchise. Oh, okay, well, thanks for watching, subscribe for more, and share the video if you think it deserves it. Thanks to my patrons, and let me know what you think in the comments. I'm Endymion, I'll see you in the next one.